what's today? Hey, what's today? What's today? It's Wife Strut Wednesday. It's Wife Strut Wednesday. We out here. Hey wife, hey, it's Wife Strut Wednesday. And so this week I want to talk to you about marriage. You're like, duh. Every week is about marriage, and it's true because every week that you're a wife, we're talking about something that's connected to you, and you're connected to a marriage because that's how you are a wife. But when I say marriage this week, I know that you should be following my Instagram. If you're not, then you don't know this yet, but go check out my Instagram. It's at The Wife Strut, like all of my social media at The Wife Strut. And this week, I had the pleasure of going with my husband to go celebrate a union of my trainer and his beautiful bride. So shout out to the Bissigs. Congratulations. Thank you for letting us be a part of it. So I'm bringing it in close today because this is a more intimate conversation, and something that I wanted to touch base on the fact was that there's something interesting about a wedding and all the feels that people get into, which is why there are movies that are all over the board, you know, 27 dresses, people wanting to fall in love, wanting your person, if you will, your one and only, your happy ending, all of the fill in the blanks, right? And then there's like wedding crashers, and people go ridiculous and crash weddings, and there's all these emotions and vulnerability and feel because it's the celebration of love and coming together and what that looks like. But as a married person, I experience weddings so much differently than I did as a non-wife, if you will. I think because it just gives us a moment to reflect, especially if you get to go with your spouse. I've gone to a couple without because schedules didn't work, but the ones that I did, it's just like standing and listening, or sitting and listening to the vows that people take. It's almost like a renewal, right? Like you reminisce back on the vows that you took and what every word means and how you're living that out currently. And it's just a good thing. I really dig, even though I've never been like a huge wedding person, but there's all this foo-foo and fluff and the perfect day and all that, but really the wedding is just an usher into the rest of your life. That's when the good stuff happens, right? Good stuff, as in the good, the bad, the ugly, the for better or for worse, for sicker or for poor, till death do us part, or what people are saying is everlasting, or till our last day, or till our last breath, and forevermore, whatever the case may be. I say till death do us part because I want us to be real clear and real strict. Somebody dies at the death certificate here because we said I do. So just keeping it 100, right? But another thing that this made me think about is when I was single, and sometimes people ask me, like on this channel, are you gonna give information to single people? And it's like, I can always tell you my experience, but the longer I've been married, the more removed I am from the grit and from the rawness of the emotions. I mean, I remember big ones, right? But I think it'd be better to introduce someone who still has experienced that or closer to it. But something I do remember is I used to work for a non-for-profit, and what we did was go out to provide living skills training to visually impaired people, and people as in seniors. Seniors in our world, no shade, it was 50 and up, but our average age was 70 and up. And I ran into this sweet little old lady who was in her 80s, and she was telling me about how she missed her husband, but they had a good ride. And she was telling me about their last conversation and how he was like, so what do you want for your wedding this year? And she said he always asked her that, like, what do you want this year, bride? Do you want another ring? Do you want this? Do you want that? And she goes, no, I think I'm just fine, you know? And she goes, he always said it was her wedding, her anniversary, because it meant that much to him. And so she said that year, she said, you know, I think that no, we've been great. She goes, had been in the hospital, in and out, and of course it just comes with older age, and he was maybe a decade older than she was. And so she said, you know, she sat down and she just wanted to be with him, and he said, we had a good ride, didn't we? And she was like, we did, we had a good ride. And she said that was their last anniversary. She didn't want a ring or anything, she just wanted to be with him. She said, but when she went into that marriage, he said to her, this ain't no wartime marriage. Now they didn't know each other for very long. I think it was about a month, and he asked her to marry him, and she's like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah. She goes, but he wanted to be very clear, like, this isn't no wartime marriage. And for him, what wartime meant was people got married, they wanted to go out, they were gonna go off to the war, they wanted to make sure that they had someone at home, someone to have to come back to, something to live for, a family to grow with, to grow a family with someone. And then kind of when war was over, then, you know, it went the way it went, or, you know, people, this is from her perspective, people, while their spouses were at war was war, and whatever happened, but we're married, right? And so she says, no, I know. He goes, no, you need to understand, this ain't no wartime marriage. He said, this is gonna be tough, and you're not always gonna like me, and I'm not always gonna like you, and we might not see things eye to eye, but just like things get tough and we stick it out, the war gets tough and I stay, and this doesn't end. Like, this is me and you to the end. You understand that? And she was like, yeah, I understand that. He goes, no, I need to know that you understand that, because we're in this, we're in it. So if you say yes to be my bride, that's for life. And she says, I'm in it. And she goes, you know something? I told her, I said, that is so beautiful. I want that someday. She goes, you'll have it. You will. She said, but unfortunately, many of people get into it in non-war times, like it's war times. And you know, things get tough for a second and they're out, or they think that it was just in the moment, it was just something to do, we're just taken away by the situation. She goes, and so you have to make sure that the person that chooses you, that you choose back, that like, they know this is in wartime and things are gonna get tough, but y'all are in it and you'll work through it. And that is always brought back to mind. It was brought to mind when I met my husband, and it's brought back to mind when I think of my vows. I think that it's so good. I want to get like my vows printed and, you know, put out, because we need to revisit them, and not just when we're at weddings, but like when we look at that person, like every now and then, like, what were the vows that I took? And we wrote our own. We took our traditional and we wrote our own, so like those ones mean a lot to us. We're coming up on 5 years, and we did a different tradition than what we had seen and that we started, and so I'll share that with you guys in the video when we get to 5 years, which is coming up in June, so I'm super excited about that. But right before I got married, my dad sent me an email that I had sent him, because after that conversation with that lady, I was trying to explain to him like what that non-wartime forever kind of meant to me. And I keep it in my email. He sent it back to me before I got married. He said, so is this your person, your closet person? And he always makes this the closet, where's the closet, you know? And so I wanted to share with you all the email that I had sent to him, because he sent it back to me, and it's great that it's timestamped before I ever met my husband, because I didn't even meet my husband until December 26th, actually the day after Christmas, but not till December of 2012. And I had sent this to my dad back February 26, 2010. Isn't that something? Anyway, so I'm gonna just read it to you all. I have my phone and I can post it for y'all to follow along as I read it. So I said, when you choose to be with someone, it is a choice. Like your favorite person by choice. No person you'd rather be with. When I think of really loving someone, being in love with them, and choosing to be with that person in marriage forever, I think of the following. If someone were to tell you that you were going to be stuck in a closet for the rest of time with one person, the person that I would pick would be the person I choose to love forever. The person that I love so much that if stuck in a closet forever, where the only air I could get would be the air that he provided, from his lungs to mine, and from my lungs to his. For as he exhaled, I would inhale his breath, and he mine forever. And I would still choose him, my love, the only person, he and I in a closet, surviving on one another's breath. That and that alone. That is love. That us choice. That is marriage. And in my world, that us is forever. Forever marriage, us forever. If I can't have it like that forever, then I don't want it. Gives me chills because that was in February 26, 2010. Like, I just felt like through my life choices and, you know, wanting to believing that God, you know, designed things to be the way that they were for a reason, deciding to wait until marriage for my one person, it rings still so true to me. And I remember when my dad sent that to me, my automatic answer was yes, without a question. My husband is that guy. He's my closet guy, right? And I have to remind myself about that, especially like when we were at the wedding this weekend, like, to remember that, like, hey, this is your closet person. Like, that's the guy just for you. Like, they're sharing their vows just for them, but like, you made yours just for you, and like, you're blessed to be with your closet person. And when life gets hard, I know last week I talked about how do you build muscle for marriage, right? A, hopefully it's with your closet person, and B, because you have to remember that, like, we're breathing in sync, we're breathing together. My breath and your breath are keeping us going, right? And sometimes I know it gets ridiculous, Been there, sometimes there, maybe there tomorrow, right? It gets ridiculous and you're like, okay, the breath is getting really shallow and you're breathing real slow and they're not deep. And because of that, like my breath is dependent and I'm breathing even more shallow because I need that exchange for us to both survive in this closet, right? But I think that the amazing thing is even when you're like, this breath is getting real slow, right? How can we resuscitate one another and make that breath increase? Or sometime when you're like, hey, hello, wake up. Are you breathing? Like seriously, are you breathing? Is there sleep apnea? Did you stop breathing? Because I'm needing you over here. I know I go way far with analogies, but that's how my brain works and it makes so much sense. And I just want to say that like, I'm so glad that I have my closet person. I would pick him again. He better say he would pick me again. Anyway, but it just came back to mind. It was so renewed and so fresh when I sat at the wedding of the Bissicks this weekend. So shout out to them, shout out to us because we are doing our best as the Johnsons. Like, here's the thing. They say there's no rule book, right? There are some passages and there is some suggestions and we're trying along the way because everything doesn't work for every person, but I'm in this with all my heart till death do us part. Wives, tell me, when you go to weddings, do you experience anything that connects you back to where you started in your vows, a thing that allows you to reminisce and get back to the basics, right? I say my closet person. What is your analogy for the person that you would choose to be with? Do you have one? And you know, is there something else for you that renews that? Maybe it's not a wedding, maybe it's something, you know, just special to y'all. Please share in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't. Let me know some things that you might want to hear about, talk about, what have you. Share, like, all that good stuff. And I don't know if y'all know, but last week we had 25 subscribers. That's such a big deal, so I don't want to pretend that it's not. I'm gonna see y'all next week. I'm always watching. Keep on strutting like only you can.